My clients achieve their goals, really create a growth mindset whilst silencing the doubters, getting their time back, and really living life on their terms.
Absolutely fantastic results. Today just seemed to click in a completely different perspective. Just whenever you're in the room and wait and be slowly the people, like we've been studying other Kims, but sometimes you do fall off that track sometimes yourself, keeping up with that momentum. So coming to things like this is so endearing.
That I need to focus on my paradigm a little bit more and take action on that, because I know now the value of what it is costing me not to.
This was sensational, truthful, right down to core to find the root of our old problem, and it's a really life-changing opportunity.
First word was awesome. Big segue. So I can be whatever I want to be. That depends on what I want.
Like the energy in the room was just amazing, and honestly I just know this is the beginning, this is the starting point.
I think that everybody in that room has a decision to make. It's going to quantum reboot in some way. So just make a decision.
We've just heard some incredible comments there from some of our clients. And as I just said, what I'm going to be showing you today is a 4-step, very simple process. But it's a process that you possibly have never come across before. And there's a good reason for that. You have never been taught it before. Or you have never been taught it in this order or in this way. And there's a very good reason for that. Many people do not know the science to achieving the results that they want. Believe it or not, there was once upon a time where I really was living life in a way that I was stuck, I was lost, I was financially broke, mentally broke, spiritually broke. I was broke in every shape and form. In fact, this is going back 8 years, nearly to the month. And this was a time in my life where I actually worked as a psychiatric nurse. If you've only just come across me, you might be wondering, what can this girl teach me? And the truth is, regardless of who I am, where I'm from, what I've done, I have got information, a 4-step process that I have used, I have implemented, and I have taught thousands and thousands of people right across the globe in achieving the goals and the dreams that they desire. And it really doesn't have to be that difficult. Although it was for me at one point. I used to be a nurse, a psychiatric nurse, working 9 to 5, probably maybe similar to yourself. And as much as I loved the job, it was very fulfilling, there was something missing. There was something in me that was looking, searching, and seeking for more. There was a part of me that thought, there's got to be more to life. There's something in me that wants to come out. And yet at the same time, I had very little self-confidence. In fact, my fundamental belief was that I was unlovable, that I was not smart enough, that I didn't have the exams or the brains to go and be a successful person. And yet I was in a highly, paid job, as I thought at the time. It was a good government job with a pension. And I was always taught when I was being brought up by my loving parents, you have to work hard, study, and you will be a success in life. But I found out that that wasn't totally correct. That wasn't true. Because 8 years ago, I was sitting in an office, very different to the one I sit in today. And I found myself looking out the window, probably more often than I should have. And I found myself looking out the window, staring into space, wondering, what if? Could there be more? Almost a feeling in my stomach going into my throat that I knew there was more, but I did not know what more was. I also felt bad. I felt guilty for wanting more. Because I did go to school, I did get exams. I had to study hard because I really wasn't academic. I'm dyslexic, I was never good at math, I didn't really enjoy school. I loved break time and home time. but there was something in me that knew there is a greater purpose. I believe you listening to me right now also probably feel something similar. You maybe are looking for something more, something greater. And you are in the right place today, in this moment. Now, I went through school, I got the good job, but I found myself at the peak of my career. I was never going to earn any more. I was working harder than I had ever worked. And in fact, I was actually getting extra jobs on the side just to get by. And this didn't make sense to me. How am I putting in more time, more energy, spending less time with the people I love, unable to go and do the things that I want, even though I followed all the rules? And as I say, I wanted more and I felt bad. And the truth is, if you feel like you want more, you should not feel bad about it, because there is more for you. There is reservoirs of deep potential within you. Now, at that time, 8 years ago, I went on a bit of a mission. I found myself not only staring out the window, but I found myself staring at the ceiling at night. I couldn't sleep. I found myself staring at my bank account going, why is that never increasing when I'm doing more and learning more and doing more and getting extra training and extra jobs? And I started asking myself a lot of questions. I started to look around me and see that other people were feeling the same too. There was never enough. And I also didn't feel like I was enough. So I went on a mission. I went on a mission to figure out, why are there people that are winning in life? Why are there people that seem to work less and earn more? And I'm from a very small country called Northern Ireland, and I didn't know any successful people. In fact, I didn't know anybody that was really doing any better than what I was doing. Hence why I felt bad, because I was doing good, and yet I wasn't totally satisfied. I also found myself in a position where my relationships were not good. I was not being treated well, and it made sense because I didn't love me. So of course, people who I was with didn't love me. And this was a repeating pattern that was showing up in my life. Now, as I say, I went on a quest. I went on a quest to figure out, how do you become successful? How do you become happy? I didn't even really want millions in the bank. I just wanted to have enough to be able to do the things that I really wanted to do, to go to the places that I've always wanted to experience. So I went, and I probably did something similar to what you've done. I was searching. And the funny thing is when you are intentional, when you start to think of an idea, it starts to show up everywhere. In fact, I'm probably sure you have been thinking some of these questions to even come across this. And the truth is, anything that you give focus and attention to, more energy flows. This is how the mind works. Now, I was a psychiatric nurse dealing with the mind, dealing with mental health, and I really should have understood the mind. But it was only until one day that I came across a man called Bob Proctor. I came across him on YouTube. Because at that time in my life, I was seeking for answers outside of myself. I mentioned that I didn't really love me. I didn't really like me. Yes, I put on a smile. Yes, I had a nice job. Yes, I owned my own home. But the reality was, I was just getting by. Every month I was earning in and around £2,000 a month. And my bills were coming out at about £1,800. It didn't leave me very much. And whilst I'm so grateful for having the job, having the opportunity to help so many young people, I also knew I cannot give what I have not got. And I was not truly happy. I was not truly fulfilled. So I came across Bob Proctor on YouTube, and I started searching and I started typing in how to become a success. And at that time, as I say, I was seeking for answers outside of myself. I actually got into fitness, and I was competing in different competitions, and I thought, I don't like me, I don't love me, I have the answer. I'm going to get fit. I'm going to create a body that will mean people will look at me differently. People will love me differently. I might love me differently. So I put my head down, I got into the gym, and I did that for years. And yes, I got an incredible body. But the truth is, the inside didn't change. I won competitions, I went to the Worlds, I represented the country. And yet as I stood on stage, having lots of people clapping and cheering, I was looking still for a stamp of validation. I was still seeking this hole that I wanted to fill. And when I came across Bob Proctor, something clicked. I heard Bob speak, and for me, I'd never come across him. I had never read The Secret. Some of you may have. He's very famous from The Secret. But I'd never read these books. From where I'm from, that was all woohoo. You know, you just get a job, you work well, you say please and thank you, you pay your taxes and you die. And I didn't know anything about goals. I didn't know anything about success, achievement. But when I heard Bob Proctor speak, he spoke to me. And I always believe that the truth resonates. When the student is ready, the teacher arrives. And it was one day I was sitting in my car. I was just about to go and do a home visit. And I was watching this video and I was thinking to myself, I need to work with this man. I need to figure out what he's talking about, because he was talking about the mind very differently. Now, I seen that he was based in Canada. He worked all over the world. This was the master teacher of the personal development industry. There was no one greater than Bob Proctor. No one had studied this material longer, anyone in the world. So I knew I needed to go to the source of someone who has demonstrated in results they knew what they were talking about. I needed to go to someone who could teach me rather than work it out by myself. Now, to cut a long story short, I found myself one day in a pet shop. I've got 2 little Jack Russells that I love so dearly. They are my little babies. And I found myself in a pet shop one day and I realized I can't afford the dog food. I had my hands in my pocket and I was hurting so much that I was clenching my fist. And that's what triggered me to pull my hand out. And I looked in my hand and I seen £4.20. And I realized in that moment, in that pet shop, I was broke. And I wasn't just broke financially. I was broke in every shape and form. I felt stuck. And more on that, I did not know how to get unstuck. And that brought fear. That brought worry. That brought this absolute heavy feeling on my shoulders of, I don't know what to do. Now, I was 28 years at the time. I'm 37 now. And at 28 years young, at the height, I was a Band 7 clinical nurse specialist. I knew there was no further growth. I knew that I definitely wasn't going back to school to get more exams. So I really felt stuck. And it was that day I decided, I will never be broke again. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. I am so sick of going round the same pattern every month, just hoping to get by. There has got to be more to life. So I did what every sensible person would do. And I decided I'm going to contact this man. I am going to seek out some mentorship. And I'm going to learn what obviously other people are learning that I do not know. I've never been a very proud person. I've never thought, no, I'll work it out myself. I'm always the person that if I'm lost and I'm driving, I'll stop and ask for directions instead of just keep doing the same, hoping for a different result. So I contacted Bob. I didn't get to speak to him directly, but I got to speak with somebody that worked closely with him. And after a long conversation, they asked me many questions. What are your goals? What do you want to achieve in life? And it was the first time I'd ever thought about it. I had never been asked in my life, what do you really want? And what they said on the phone to me was, if you can tell me what you want, I will show you how to get it. Now, there was a huge part of me very skeptical. There was a huge part of me going, oh, this can't be real. There's no way that this could work. But what they were saying is that, Kim, your mind creates your reality. Thoughts turn to things. And you are programmed to think a certain way, and that's what's getting your results in life. Now, as much as I didn't understand that, which I should coming from my background, I couldn't deny that it made sense. I was thinking negative about me, and I was getting negative results. I was thinking negative about my bank balance, and my bank balance was in the negative. There was so much that made sense, and yet it didn't make sense because I hadn't yet studied to understand. Now, to cut a long story short, I decided that day, I'm going to go and work with this man. I'm going to go and study at the foot of the master teacher. And I don't care what it takes, and I don't care how long it takes, but I've got to do something different because my way is not working. And I didn't tell anybody. I decided that day I was going to invest in me. I was going to invest in my mind. Because just even from that one conversation, I understood the mind is what creates results. In fact, your mindset creates 95% of all of your results and success in life. 5% is strategy. And for me, I always lived and was brought up in a world where strategy is everything. But you might even ask yourself, have you been working on strategy and nothing's changing? Are you doing the same thing over and over and seeing the same result? Well, I was. So I knew something has to change. Well, in that day, I made a committed decision. I made a decision, I am doing this, whatever it takes. I told nobody. I decided to quit my job. I'm not saying for you to quit your job, but I'm just telling you my story to give you a background of how this teaching is going to serve you. But I decided I'm going to quit nursing. I'm going to hand in my resignation. And I'm going to sell my car because that's all that I had. I had no money in the bank. I just got by every month. I sold my car for £4,000. And I decided I was going to invest that money in learning to understand me. Because the one thing that became so apparent on that call was that I had no idea who I was. And I would ask you at the very start of this training, if you were to take your name away, your title away, your occupation away, you're not mum, you're not dad, if you took that all away, who are you? And that was a question I got asked, and I did not know, and that scared me, but excited me at the same time. And that was something that Bob always said in his videos. So you've got to go after something that scares and excites you at the same time. That's what constitutes growth. So I sold my car, I invested in me, and I went on a mission to become Bob Proctor's #1 global student. Now that was a pretty lofty goal because I knew he worked with people, like tens of thousands of people all over the world. And who am I, Kim Calvert from Northern Ireland, who never has run a business, never been in sales, never done anything apart from went to school, became a nurse. I had no experience, no background. As I've mentioned, I wasn't always the brightest tool in the box. I'm dyslexic. There was just so many things against me. I didn't tell anybody for a very good reason that I was quitting nursing. Obviously, my colleagues knew, and I think people thought I was a little bit crazy. But I was in a very dark place in my life. But I knew I was the person that could get me out of it. I knew that it was not going to be outside of me. I knew I could not get anybody or expect anybody else to help me. It was a me-on-me game. I didn't tell my parents because they would not have been happy. There would have been an intervention because they always said, don't give up the good government job with the pension. And I didn't tell them. My friends thought I was crazy. My friends rolled their eyes, but I kept moving forward. And as I said, I set the goal that I wanted to be the #1 in the world for Bob Proctor. I wanted to train with him. I wanted him to teach me what he knew so that I could go out and teach other people. That was my burning desire. I always knew from a young age that my purpose on this planet was pretty large. And I don't say this from ego. I say it from a place of knowing. I've always known I was here to help other people realize who they are, bring their potential to the surface, and live the life they really want to live. To finally get time to go and experience, to feel love, to feel calmness of mind, to have prosperity and abundance. I always knew that deep down, hence why I went into mental health nursing. But what I seen in nursing was revolving door. I was treating symptoms rather than getting to the root cause. And this is why Bob Proctor really stood out to me. He was not a motivational speaker. He was not getting me to jump up and down and clap my hands. He was not motivational. And the difference in motivation and inspiration is vast. Motivation is short-lived. Inspiration comes from within. And this is what really drew me to Bob. So I went off and I studied with Bob. And I was just another number in a crowd. But I had a mission. I wanted to be the number one in the world. Well, in 3 short years, I had earned my first million in business. I was now working with thousands of people across the world. My goal was always to step on stage with Bob Proctor and teach by his side. And I got to do that on multiple occasions. Now, 8 years on, I'm proud to say that I have a company that operates in over 68 different countries. We have served tens and tens of thousands of people. And my one mission in this life is to waken people up one thought at a time, is to help people just like you, who maybe felt just like me, to finally figure out what are these critical elements, these essential steps that will lead to a life of fulfillment, whatever that might look like for you. See, the truth is, and why you're here, is because you want more too. And that is a good thing. We're trained to live in a world that, if you want more money, if you want more health, if you want more of anything, it's almost deemed as a negative. You should be grateful for what you have. And absolutely you should be grateful for what you have. But the truth is, there is no end to what you can do. And I'd probably say it's not the first time you've heard that either. But do you really understand it? Well, I started to apply this. Now, bear in mind, I started out with nothing. No experience, no money, no awareness. And I have now built an 8-figure empire. I have got over 5 different companies. I have over 100+ employees. And you know what? I'm still just me. But I'm a better version of me because I started to understand who I was. Now, the reason that you're here right now listening to my voice is because I believe that you're searching for something. I believe that you want to multiply your results. Maybe you want to multiply your health. You want to increase your income. Maybe you want to formulate better relationships. Maybe you want to mend relationships. Whatever it is that you want, I can tell you it all wraps up into one word: freedom. And I don't need to know you, and I don't need to know what it is that you want, and maybe you haven't even defined it yet. But I know that you feel that there is more. And what I always say to my clients is, if you can feel that, then it must be something. Because how else would you feel it? Now, I'm so proud that I did become Bob Proctor's #1 consultant all over the world. I have won all of the awards that are possibly out there. I became his executive diamond pin holder. I went and worked with him side by side. He became kind of like a dad to me, a father figure. And Bob is not with us anymore. He passed on into his next journey in 2022. But I have such a conviction of carrying this message on. Because what I'm going to be showing you today is the exact scientific formula that he taught me, that helped me go from £4.20 to living a life of freedom. And it's not just about money, although money is very important. Money is something that allows you to go out and have choices, to have freedom. But it's really about figuring out who you are, loving yourself, having meaningful relationships, having more time to do the things that you really want to do. So if you can resonate with that, then you are in the right place. and you want to listen to what I've got to say today. Now, the truth is, a lot of people do not feel this way. In fact, the stats show us that 97% of the population are feeling stuck, whilst 3% of the population are winning. And in fact, 3% of the population is earning 97% of all the money that's in the world, and the 97% are only earning 3% of all the money. And this is not fair, and it is not right, but it is what it is, and it all comes down to these 4 things that I'm going to share with you today. Now, a lot of people today are spinning plates. I don't know if you can relate. You're working harder than you've ever worked. You're spinning plates, you're putting out fires. It's a bit of chaos. Maybe you are feeling afraid to step up, to step out and step into your greatness. Maybe you're worried about what other people think of you. Maybe you're worried of failing. There are so many people just like you that have dreams, goals, have this feeling that there's more. But the one thing that holds them back is fear. And this is why I want to share with you these 4 key steps that can unlock your greatness, that can create a starting point for you to create the life that you want to live. Now, to give you an idea, as before we set into these 4 steps, what is this all about? Well, the 4 steps I'm going to be talking about today is number 1, awareness. Now, I had never heard of awareness. I think we use the word, I'm aware that there's a car here, or I'm aware of X, Y, Z. Awareness basically means you understand. So for an example, I am not aware of how to fly a plane. So if I got into a plane and they put me in the cockpit and they said, right, Kim, you've got control, I would be afraid. Why? Because I've no awareness of how to fly a plane. I'm ignorant to it. That's the opposite of awareness. Now, it was Bob that taught me what awareness is. And the truth is, and what you're going to realize today is, awareness is the keys to the kingdom. Awareness is what creates success in life. And I did not know this. I had never heard of the word, and I'm going to teach you a bit more of it as we go through. But the other important part of awareness is intention. So many of us right now in this world that we live in are distracted. And I want you to start to get distracted by your desires, not distracted by everything else that's going on outside of you. You see, when you become intentional, you give your mind focus. You're able to become laser focused on what it is that you want to do in life. Every great successful person has developed the habit of being focused and being clear on the direction that they're going in. Now, we live in a world that is busy. Everybody wants your attention. Social media, news, it's chaotic. You've got things going off on your phone. People have never been more distracted. People have never had less of an attention span. And this is something that you really want to understand, that you can train your mind to become more intentional. Why is that important? Well, where your attention goes, energy flows. Now, everything I'm going to be sharing with you today is all around the mind, is all around energy. And energy is what everything is in this world. And when you really start to focus on what any given topic, let's just even use it for something you might relate to. When you focus on results that are not good, maybe it's the bank account is not looking healthy, it's in a negative. Maybe it's a problem in the workplace. Well, the truth is, the more that you give attention to it, the bigger the problem gets. Why? Because you're giving it more attention, you're giving it more energy, and energy is always for expansion. So when you start to learn how the mind works and you become aware of the mind, you hold in your hand the keys to the kingdom. This is so incredibly powerful. Now, the next step, number 2, is attitude. Attitude is everything. Bob used to say this is the magic word. Attitude to life will be life's attitude to you. Now, what I'm going to share with you is how the mind operates. Because in everything that Bob's taught me, in everything that I've been teaching my clients for the last 8 years and watching them quantum leap and multiply their results, multiply their sales, multiply their energy, multiply everything, it has all come down to their attitude of mind. If you are a sales leader, if you are in business, if you are a mum, the beautiful thing is this is for everybody because everybody has a mind. So it doesn't matter what position you're in, this is for you. Now, attitude is all about understanding the power of the mind, how the mind works, how you can start to utilize the mind to work for you instead of against you. Now, the next point, number 3, is all about alignment. Alignment is without a doubt the most important element in what I'm going to share with you today. And I'm going to get into some drawing to really explain this to you. Because the truth is, alignment is what gives you that flow state. Now, you've experienced times in your lives when you've just been feeling great. Everything just works with ease, flow, and joy. And you've also experienced times in your life when things do not work with ease, flow, and joy. It's difficult. You're forcing. You're trying to get it to work. I see that so much right now in business and with individuals that I work with where they're forcing. Well, forcing never works. You cannot push. You have got to start to understand how to align to your goals, how to align your team, how to align your energy so that then you can move through life with ease, with expectancy. And then the last point, number 4, action. Action creates a reaction, and it's the reaction that creates the results in your life. Now, across all of these 4 points, the whole methodology that we teach is that your mind creates your results. And again, this may be brand new to you, or it may be you've heard this before, but you're not able to get it to work. Well, by understanding awareness, attitude, alignment, and action, putting these 4 steps in a very specific order will give you the results that you want. So many people today are taking more action. They're doing more work, but they're not seeing the return. You're putting in more hours. You're trying more strategies. You're investing more money in strategies and systems and processes, but the results are not changing. And results leave clues. Your results in life are the direct reflection of how you think. So this is where I put action at the bottom, because if you haven't sorted out the mind, which controls 95% of all of your results, then the 5% strategy or the action is not going to work. Now, another thing that I'm going to share with you is you want to take aligned action, because you want to be inspired with your action. Nobody wants to go and do something if they don't want to do it. And again, this is why getting the attitude and the alignment is so critical. Now, when it comes to taking action, we often have a problem. And what you will see, and hopefully you can resonate, if I was to ask you, do you already know how to do 1% better in any area of your life? Think about your health. Do you know how to improve your health by just 1%? Yes. Do you know how to improve your sales, your income, your business by just 1%? Yes. Do you know how to improve your performance, your productivity by just 1%? Yes. Do you know how to improve your relationships with your partner, your kids, your family, your colleagues? Yes. In fact, you already know what you probably need to do, but there's a big problem. You don't do what you know how to do. Now, this is what I'm going to break down, the science. I'm not teaching you this just because I said or Bob Proctor says it. There is a scientific step-by-step formula that has been tested over decades, that is repeatable, and it's something that once you learn it, and this is the great thing about awareness, as soon as you become aware of it, you can't go back. Like, you're aware of what you're earning right now. If you look at what you earn every month, you're aware of how to earn that. But you're maybe not aware of how to earn 10 times that amount. And that's the difference in awareness. Somebody who earns 100,000 a year is not aware of how to earn 100,000 a month. But if you become aware of how to earn it, then you can multiply that. And this to me was such a big idea in the beginning. And yet I started to understand how I could start to sync up and align my mindset with the actions that I was taking. I was taking actions, but it wasn't getting me the results. And that's because of this knowing doing gap. I knew I had to go to the gym, but I would roll over and hit the snooze button. I knew how to eat healthier, but I would go for what was easy. I knew how to do better in my work, but I did what I always did. And that's because we're habitual creatures. Your habits, your beliefs dictate and drive your behavior, and your behavior creates your results in life. So these are the 4 critical steps that I'm going to share and break down with you today, because I believe that you have greatness within you. I don't need to know you. I don't need to have met you. I just know because you're another human being. And the truth is, we've forgotten that we're human beings, and we've really become a society of human doings. We are doing, firefighting, spinning plates, throwing things at the wall and hoping that it sticks. And the truth is, we've got to get back to understanding who we are, where we are, discover where we want to go, and then learn how to go there. So I'm going to take you over to my whiteboard, and I'm going to break these 4 steps down, and I'm going to give you a really deep understanding. We're not going to be here for very long, but I can guarantee you're going to resonate with this. Okay, so this 4-part system, this is the absolute critical part to changing your results. This is what's going to help you create the starting point of elevating any result, achieving any goal, but doing it in a way that gives you back time, that gives you more confidence, that helps you lead and really go for what you want. Now, the first thing that you've got to understand is the mind. And this is what we talk about awareness. Okay? Awareness is understanding. When you are aware of how you operate, you're going to be able to operate better. Now, I want you to think of your phone or your computer. Your computer or your phone has an operating system, and it will only ever produce and give you an output based on the updated operating system. And if you do not know how to upgrade the software, then you're never going to get a good output. And this is exactly about the mind. So the first thing that I want to make you aware of is how your mind operates and what your mind looks like. Now, I have just drawn a circle on this page, and I'm drawing another little circle. Now, this is a concept that Bob taught me. He said, Kim, this is the best idea I have ever come across. And it was not his idea. He got it from one of his mentors. And what he showed me and described to me was, Kim, do you know what the mind is? Are you aware of what the mind is? Now, to be honest, I felt a little bit silly because I didn't, and yet I was a mental health nurse. And the truth is, and if I asked you, what is the mind, what would you say? A lot of people say it's the brain, but that is not true. The brain is almost like the hardware, the mechanism that the mind operates through. Mind is energy. Now, when you start to understand that the mind is energy, then you've got to ask yourself, well, what is energy? And you might think, well, there's a light, that's energy. No, that's an expression of energy. This camera has got energy going through it, it's plugged into the wall, but the camera is an expression of the energy. You have energy. You are energy. You eat food that has got energy. Energy just is. Now, I'm not going to go deep into what that means, but when Bob started to get me to understand that the mind is energy, I started to realize I did not have a picture of what that looked like. And when you can't see something It's very difficult to understand it. So Bob gave me this picture and he says, Kim, I want you to think that this is the mind. This large circle, this part here, is your mind. And this small part here is the body. And honestly, my first thought was, why is my body so small? And this was a huge part of awareness, which is number one, where I started to realize I am more than my body. You see, a lot of us think that I'm Kim and this is my body. But what I didn't understand was that my body is an instrument of the mind. And your mind is what is controlling the body. So Bob started to say there are two parts to your mind. There is the conscious part and there is the subconscious part of your mind. Now, I'd never heard of these words. In fact, they kind of intimidated me at the start. But the more he started to simply break this down, as I'm going to do for you today, it started to make sense. He said the best way for you to understand it, Kim, is you have a mind and you have a body and you also have senses. We have got 5 senses: sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. You're watching me right now, you're listening to me right now. And we operate through our senses. And we take in everything that is around us in this world. But he says, Kim, your senses sometimes can let you down. They can fool you. And you have a mind that you have the ability to think anything. You have the power of the imagination. This is what all the great successful people in this world have been able to tap into. This is where leaders in any industry, they think differently. Anyone that has ever done anything great thinks differently. Now, you've probably heard of positive mindset, negative mindset, growth mindset, lack mindset. We've all heard of these terms, but none of us really understand it. And if we don't understand it, then we can't apply it. So he said, Kim, the next thing you've got to be aware of is attitude. And your attitude to life is going to be life's attitude to you. And I didn't really understand what that meant. He says, Kim, your attitude is where you think, you feel, and you take actions. Your attitude is the composite of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. Now, the easiest way for me to explain this to you in this short time that we're together is that you are giving off energy all of the time. You have an attitude, right? Everyone. Most of the times you hear it, they have a bad attitude. And you know when somebody has a bad attitude because they're not very pleasant. And you know when somebody is really jovial and happy and they've got a really positive attitude. Well, this is because they have positive thoughts, positive feelings, and then they act positively. And what Bob taught me is, he says, Kim, your thoughts dictate how you feel, and how you feel dictates the actions that you take in life. And this started to make sense because I used to think negative about me. I used to feel negative about me. And I used to do things that were not good for me. And I'm sure you can relate to that as well. So he says, you have a conscious mind and you have a subconscious mind and you have a body. And these 3 elements is what's moving you through life. And your attitude to anything will dictate what is coming to you. And that's where he then says, number 3, alignment. Now, again, I had never heard of this word alignment. And the easiest way I could explain this to you is your thoughts, your feelings, and actions will always be in harmony. So if you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. I'm sure you've heard that quote. And he says, you've got to be in alignment with your goals. You've got to be in alignment with people. When I work with corporations and companies, one of the most important things that we deal with is getting the people of the company, which makes the company, in alignment with the mission and the vision of the company. It's the same as even if you're a mom or dad at home. You've got to get in alignment with the kids. They've got to be in alignment with what you want to make with dinner. So this shows up in every area of your life. And he says your thoughts will match the feelings and then will match the actions. However, he says, Kim, really what's choosing your thoughts is how you're conditioned to think. Now, this was new information. And he says, your conscious mind, in fact, I'll draw this for you. We'll clean this up. He says, your conscious mind, this is where you think, okay? And this is where you are really starting to choose the thoughts. And this is where you can create thoughts. You can also originate thoughts. But your subconscious mind is very different. The other part, of the conscious mind is you can accept or reject any idea. Now, let me just make this easier for you. Let's say you've got people in your life that are maybe negative. Or maybe you work with someone and they're negative. And you hear with your hearing this negative information. Or even better yet, let's say there's 10 people in front of you. 9 people say, you are amazing, you are incredible. And one person gives you a bit of a look. Do you listen to the 9 that said you're amazing, or do you listen to the 1? And what I have found over all the years that I've been working with people, they really lock into the one person that gives them a negative vibe. And that really is down to what's going on in your subconscious mind. Now, you have the ability to accept the 9 people. You also have the ability to reject the 1 negative person. But we don't operate that way. The way that we operate, the subconscious part of your mind, this is the part of the mind that controls 96 to 98% of all of your results in life. Now, your results, if you think about your results are your income, your health, your wealth, your relationships, okay? You could pick any result in your life, okay? Everyone's going to be different. But when you look at your results in life, some are going to be really positive, some are going to be not so positive. Well, the truth is, your results are a direct reflection of how you are programmed to think at a subconscious level. You, in your subconscious, this part of your mind controls 96 to 98% of all of your results that you get in the physical world. This is why thoughts turn into things. And this top part of your mind, this conscious mind, controls 2 to 4% of everything that you do. Now, I mentioned earlier, you know how to do 1% better. You know, you can think in your mind, yes, I must go to the gym in the morning. But in your subconscious mind, because this is where your habits and your beliefs reside, you're not in the habit of getting up early. You're not in the habit of making sales. You're not in the habit of stepping up and doing the things that you want to do. You're in the habit of stepping back. You're in the habit of doing what you've always done. You know, I see this in businesses all the time. People invest in their teams, in their employees, to go off and get more education, to know more. But when they come back, they keep doing the same thing. Have you ever procrastinated? I mean, it's a bit of a silly question because I know you procrastinate. And I know you probably think you've no time and you've no energy. But the truth is you're made of energy. You're just not in alignment that allows the energy to be expressed. You've got habits of procrastination. These are controlling 96 to 98% of your life. This is what we teach. These are the 4 steps that you've got to study and understand, which will allow you to gain more time, create more freedom, build your confidence, finally go and do the things and close that gap. Now, the other way to look at this is, and I'm sure you can relate, if we go up to the senses, how many times do you see your results and think negatively? Maybe you're looking at some of your results and going, this is not good. Like, that's where I was. I was looking at all of my results going, my health's not good, my body's not good, my relationships are poor, I'm poor. My results sucked, for a better word. And here's how the mind works. When you use your eyes or your senses and you see negative results, you think negatively. And if you think negatively, because thoughts are energy, those thoughts create negative feelings. You don't feel so good. You worry. You've got sleepless nights. You feel awful. You lose confidence. A lot of words like imposter syndrome. This is all in the subconscious mind. So you think negative, you feel negative, and because feeling is energy, it's called a vibration, that energy moves to your body and puts your whole body into a negative state. Now what happens is, if you go out into the world, and if I just clean this up a second, if you go out into the world and you're in this negative mind state and you go and take action, which a lot of people are doing, because of how the science of results happen, for every action there is a reaction. This is called the law of cause and effect. This is something I go deeper into in my teachings. And if you go out and take action with a negative energy, do you know what you attract? Like attracts like. You will attract negative results. Now this is happening in your life today. This is why you keep seeing this self-fulfilling prophecy. This is why, even though in your mind, maybe you're in sales, maybe you're thinking, I really want the sale, but you don't believe you can, and then you don't. Maybe you really think that I'm going to go and finally step out on my goals, but you don't have the confidence, because this is where confidence lies, in the subconscious mind. Now, I'm not going to go very deep into this today in this teaching, but I want you to know that inside your subconscious mind, you have got something called a paradigm. This is your mental subconscious programming. It's a pattern. It's a habitual pattern, and it's not even yours. It came from generations and generations. You have been programmed from birth. Then we move out into this world where we're programmed by media, newspapers, other people's opinions, and suddenly you forget the greatness that is within you. So what happens is we start living from this programming, and we keep getting the same results time and time again. We say we're going to be better. We say we're going to do better, but we don't. And you know what that creates? Frustration. It creates pain. It creates anxiety. It creates disease. It creates a whole host of negative symptoms because of the negative cause. Now, that all sounds very dramatic, but the truth is, you can change it all. And you can take action that is in alignment with what you want to think. You can develop a positive mental attitude, but it all comes back to awareness. You have got to become aware of how your mind works. You've got to become aware of what you want in life. You see, I was just like this drawing, but the thing was, I was only ever thinking about whatever I was thinking about. I was not originating ideas. I did not know that I had an imagination. Now, if I just show you this on this drawing, let's take a new perspective. You have the ability to choose what you want to think about. You have the ability to create ideas. You have the ability to think beyond what you feel is possible for you. You have been given, I'm not going to go into them, but you've been given 6 mental tools, 6 mental muscles that I had never heard about. And when I started to learn how to use these mental tools, do you know what I started to create? I started to create goals. I started to think for the first time. I no longer allowed my limiting beliefs to hold me back. I still had them, but what Bob and what I am able to teach you and what I've taught thousands of people across the world is how to actually start to think about what you want. How to create a goal. Something that allows you to grow. You see, a goal is never to get. A goal is to grow as an individual. Grow your awareness. This is why that is so important. Now, when I started to think about my goals, I started to understand, okay, well, if I want to change my results on the outside, because remember, thoughts create things. Everything in this universe that is physical was first an idea. This pen, this camera, your computer, whatever your phone, whatever you're watching right now, that never existed one time until somebody thought about it. And what happens is you create a goal, you build ideas, and then you've got to get in alignment, and you've got to create the habits and the beliefs that are in alignment with your goal. You see, if you wanted to become an Olympic gold medalist, you can't just close your eyes and think about the gold medal and then boom, it's there. You've got to start to decide, well, I got to change my habits. I'm going to have to train. I'm going to have to eat healthy. I'm going to have to get a coach or a mentor. You're going to have to take certain actions. And this is what we call alignment. You're thinking about your goal. You've got habits and beliefs that are in harmony with your goal. And you're taking actions that are in harmony with your goal. And that means you've got alignment. Okay, so you've got awareness of how the mind works. You've got the alignment in your thinking process. Then you take action. And when whatever you take action, you get a reaction. And that is how results are created in your life. Now, that is the scientific process to creating whatever you want. And that might look really easy, but it is not. And I'll tell you why. Because remember what I said. This part of your mind controls 96 to 98%. It is a habit. Like, you do not decide to procrastinate. You're in the habit of it. And then you realize later and go, oh, I didn't do that again. You might even watch this and think, okay, so I need to think positively. Yes, you do, but you're not in a habit of doing it because I haven't taught you how to change the thinking. And a lot of people, what they do is they think, okay, Kim, I'm going to go and I'm going to think positive, okay? So we'll just put that up here in the top, and they think, okay, so the answer to success is think about what you want and think on the positive pole. And I'll say, yes, absolutely. But you've got to be in alignment with that positive. And the truth is, you're not programmed to go and do that. Your habits and your beliefs are programmed where they are. So again, go back to that operating system. You are trained to operate at a certain level. And even though you get more education, even though you tell yourself I'm going to do it, what you know up here is not what you do down here. This is what we call this knowing-doing gap. This is what keeps 97% of people stuck. This is what's causing possibly frustration for you. Because your head is saying yes and your heart is saying no. Or the other way around. There is this gap. You really want to step out and go for your goals, but there's something inside of you thinking, but that might be bad. What will other people think? And ultimately, since this controls your behaviors and your actions, it's the bigger dominating factor because your conscious mind only controls 2 to 4%. Now, this is light bulbs and should be going off for you right now. So your results are always going to be in harmony with what's going on in your subconscious mind. And the only way to change that is to become aware of how your mind works, to create a new mental attitude, a new attitude about money, a new attitude about time, a new attitude about yourself. And then you must learn how to align that and reprogram your subconscious mind. And then step out and take action. Now, I'm going to come off this drawing for a second because I feel that this will have resonated with you. If it doesn't, then I'm not for you. But I believe that if you're still watching this right now, you have heard something today that has made a lot of sense. You can resonate with why maybe you are not where you want to be. And this is not me being negative and putting you down, because trust me, if you've got one cheerleader, it is me, even if I haven't met you. Now, I want to give you an opportunity today because I believe that if you can understand these 4 steps in depth and really start to apply it, you are going to change the whole trajectory of your life. What if you're that one person in your family that goes and makes the biggest change? Because see, what drove me, what was it always at the back of my desire was love. I think love is the most powerful force in this universe. And there needs to be more of it. In fact, we could solve a lot of world problems if we could just get people to get back to love. Now, what is love? Love is a level of vibrational energy. And that's everything that I was just talking to you about. You right now give off energy. It's called a vibration. And whatever you're putting out is coming back. That's your attitude. And whatever your dominant thoughts are, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, that's alignment. And then your actions, you're either doing what you really want to do or right now you're not. And it doesn't feel good. And I want to help you make that shift. I want to help you create a new starting point, a new opportunity where you can learn how to set and achieve goals. You see, everything that we teach is about achieving goals, not setting goals. Lots of people set goals. You've probably set a lot of goals. That's a conscious activity. Achieving goals is a subconscious activity. Now, what if you, and I just want you to think about this, what if you could access all of this information? What if you could spend time with me personally for 2 days and actually sit and break this all down? Start to really raise your level of conscious awareness. Start to understand who you are, where you are, where you're going and how to get there. What if you could start to mix with other like-minded people that understand this, that are succeeding in this, that could support you, that would want to listen to all the great stuff that you have, the ideas that you have, because I know you've got ideas. I know that you know there's more. But are you surrounding yourself with that? That's the answer. What if you could actually go home and have in your hand all of this information, completely laid out, step by step, questions to implement, all of my teachings, all of Bob Proctor's teachings. All right, Bob was studying this for 63 plus years. He was the master teacher. And I was somebody that I thought I could never do this. And yet all I said to myself was, if I could just get a wee slither of that, that would be great. Well, do you know what? It gave me so much more. And that's the truth. What lies behind you, what lies ahead of you, it has got nothing in comparison to what lies within you. And that is not just a nice quote to make you feel good or tickle your ears. This is the truth. You have greatness within you. And I want to invite you to come and work with me for 2 days at Inception. Inception is our 2-day live immersive event here in Northern Ireland, where you get to actually come into a live audience, sit with me, work with me, start to go down through these 4 steps, strip it all apart, get to ask me questions so I can actually give you live active feedback. I have been putting on Inception now for many years. It is the most anticipated live seminar event where hundreds of people from all over the world come together for 2 days, come out of their own environment, put themselves into an immersive environment where the energy is so rich, where the people are so positive, where you can actually just focus on you, your goals, and your desires for 2 solid days. What could that do for you? I can tell you now, when I went to seminars of Bob Proctor, it was life-changing. I was able to create my dream home. I'm able now to drive my dream car. I have now got the love of my life. I have achieved so much, from the things to the feelings, but you know what the number one thing is? I know who I am. And I love who I am. I'm proud of who I am. And because I'm able to understand who I am, I'm now able to go out and help so many more people. Now, I believe you've a purpose. I believe you've a message for the world. And I think this is now your opportunity. This is your starting point. Now, the other great thing about Inception is that not only will you come and work with me, watch me teach live on stage, I'm going to be breaking down how to understand money, how to create more time in your life, how to really shift your self-image, because your self-image is really how you're showing up in the world. It's your confidence, how you can become a leader, how you can really start to soar in sales if you're in business. I can show you how to multiply your sales, quadruple your sales, just by understanding the self-image. We're going to show you how to become more disciplined, the habits you need to install. I'm even going to give you in your workbook all the questions that Bob asked me. I'm going to give you all of the daily habits and disciplines that you must install. Everything that you need. You can walk away with a map. You can walk away with a process that is a repeatable formula. And this is the beautiful thing about Inception. I hold nothing back. You are going to have the time of your life across 2 days, and you can get a ticket right now to come live, to join me. And you'll not only be joining me, you're going to be joining Bob Proctor's son, Brian Proctor. Brian Proctor is going to be coming back to Inception again, teaching live from stage. And just as I talk about Brian, I want to show you this.
Hi, my name is Brian Proctor. I'm fortunate to be able to say Bob Proctor was my father. And I will be speaking live on stage at Inception. It's a 2-day live mindset development seminar with Kim Calvert at Dynamite Lifestyle. You know, my father would have loved this event. I think he would have loved being on stage with Kim Calvert, and especially at this Titanic building, a magnificent venue. You know, Kim Calvert is without a doubt my father's top student. You really don't want to miss this event. I have witnessed Kim over the years and have seen somebody be able to take the material that my dad teaches and teach it in her own way in such a unique style that will elevate your life in ways that you probably never even thought were possible. Kim has invited me to share from the stage some of the secrets that I learned from my father. I actually wrote a book called My Father Knew the Secret, Growing Up with Bob Proctor. And I will be sharing some of those secrets that I learned over the years from my father. You can imagine, he was going to teach me everything. He wanted to make sure I had it all. And some of these secrets that he taught me over the years will take you from here to way up here. I will give you actual stories, some anecdotes, some things that will show you how to take these lessons and actually apply them so that you can have, do, or be more in your life. I know it's going to be really, really special. And I am really looking forward to sharing the stage with Kim. She is, without a doubt, just a magnificent individual. So I really hope that you'll take action right now, get your tickets, be there for Inception.
So you've heard it from Brian himself. He is going to be live on stage at Inception this year, and you could be sitting with us. You could be networking with like-minded people. You could be walking away with a repeatable formula, gaining the awareness, adopting the new attitude, finally getting alignment with your goals, your actions, and finally seeing light at the end of the tunnel. Finally really learning how to go and achieve what you want. I'm so grateful to have Brian on our stage. I'm so grateful to be working with Bob's son. And you know what? Bob is going to be there too. Bob may not be here in the physical, but he is certainly here in the spiritual. And this, without a doubt, it is no accident that you're here. It is no accident that you've been watching this. And what I'll say is, I want to have you in the room. I want to shake hands with you. I want to get a picture with you. I want to hug you. I want to meet you. I want to see you because you matter. And that's the most important thing. Now, I want you to come in person. We're going to be hosting this in the most iconic place because it's the Titanic Museum where one idea was birthed and born. And this is where you can come into that room and really start to create a family, because that's what we have here at Dynamite Lifestyle. You're going to meet people that you will probably stay in contact with for the rest of your life. You may have never had the opportunity to meet these people, network, share ideas. And if you just want to sit at the back of the room like I did when I went to my first seminar, that's okay too. You know, we had somebody come many years ago and they felt like they were going to take their own life. So they came to Inception. And they sat at the back of the room and they never spoke to anybody, but I noticed them. And that person today is thriving, not surviving, thriving. Built a business, just got engaged, building their dream home, all because they made one decision. And that's one of the biggest lessons that I will be teaching at Inception and that I want you to just act on today. Make a decision. People who are successful are not interested, they're committed. This is your opportunity. If you cannot be there in person, then you can also get a live streaming ticket. This gives you the opportunity to sit at home in your own comfort and watch. And the beautiful thing is, if you get your ticket today, we're going to give anyone a bonus that buys right now, whether you come in person, whether you buy live streaming ticket, we're going to give you access to the source. The source is this one personal and professional development platform that I've designed, that Bob was a huge part in, that gives you this app and online community where you can learn from me daily, where you can interact, and where you will also get access to 30-day replay of Inception. Now, if none of these options work for you and you don't want to do this, then I'm not going to force you. But I will be sad because I feel that everyone is searching for this right now. I believe that now in this world that we're in, there's never been a greater time to waken up to your potential, to waken up to how your mind works. And we were never taught this at school. You may never have heard this before. In fact, it might take you 5-10 years to learn what I'm going to share in 2 days. So trust me when I say, this is your time, this is your opportunity, this is your starting point. I look forward to seeing you at Inception, and I look forward to shaking your hand, and I will congratulate you in advance because I know that if you've felt this, then the action is the next best thing. I will see you there. Thank you.